Okay, the last segment that we're going to go through today is looking at the audiobook series. So we talked about Deeper, which was released in 2017. We talked a little bit about Nine Stories of Faith that was released in 2018. So in 2019 and 2020, I kind of pivoted and went on the audiobook direction. Part of it was understanding that some people, you still will have that traditional audience, but you also want to be open to new technology. So the concept was, as some people know in music, mixtapes, and a lot of it is with the mixtape. You have a track that someone else has used, but then someone is basically freestyling or basically coming up with verses almost impromptu. And so, how could I do this with an audiobook? Well, here's what ended up happening with the audiobook series, and I'm going to throw the business card up here. As you can see right here, that's the complete works, but the audiobooks are down here on the bottom. I'm going to do that right here. Audiobooks, let me swing down here on the bottom, and audiobooks down here on the bottom. I want to walk through the whole concept of the author's mixtape. And this is done in partnership with Third Level Entertainment Music Group. And the idea was basically doing an audiobook that was truly freestyle. So what did that mean? The way that we did the audiobook is during a 2-hour studio session. The Third Level Entertainment Music Group, for the first audiobook, the Author's Mixtape Volume 1, Organic Musings from HTooOh, the owner's daughters of the entertainment group wrote down 20 topics, put them all in a bag, and we grabbed a topic. Once I grabbed a topic, I had a certain amount of time in the booth to go ahead and write something. And then Third Level Entertainment Group, based on tracks they had already done, were either going to go ahead and lay the track down. And then in one take, seriously, in one take, had to go ahead and do the poem. So it's basically a freestyle audiobook. Real talk. It's a freestyle audiobook incorporating elements of music and spoken word. So if the first audiobook, all the topics, honestly, were thrown at me by kids in middle school. So when I think about this first audiobook, it fits for someone in middle school, high school, college, adults, and what have you. And the second audiobook, which here's the cover for that one right here, which is the Author's Mixtape Volume 2, Beyond the Holidays, Beyond History, was basically, again, building from that. So the first audiobook is a 7-track album, and the second audiobook is an 8-track album. Now, the second audiobook we did slightly differently, but still the same thing, where we did everything in a 2-hour session. So unlike a lot of times when people come in and do audiobooks, they've already got everything pre-written. Like, nothing was pre-written. Everything was done right then and there in a 2-hour session. So what I'm going to do, and I've got the technology set up, and I hope this works, but we're going to find out, is we're going to listen to a segment of one of the tracks. And I think, again, with it being not only just Mental Health Awareness Month, but anytime, the title is What Gives You Peace. So I think that's definitely timely, because I think in times of chaos and confusion and all that type of thing, finding a space and place of peace and calm is definitely great. So we're going to listen to, because the track is a little bit lengthy, but we're going to listen to a couple of moments of What Gives You Peace. So let me press play, and here we go. And this is from the audiobook series, The Author's Mixtape. This is from the first one, Author's Mixtape Volume 1.
This next one is about things that give me peace. Wow, peace. The first thing I think about when I think of peace takes me back to 3rd Johnson Hill in Arlington, Kentucky, at the home of my grandparents, Mr. Will Sergeant Peppers and Ms. Lorraine Peppers. And when I would get up every once in a while early in the morning and set foot out on that porch and walk on the little walk with the little walnut trees to the left, I remember back in my day across the street were nothing but corn stalk. And behind the house was the garden, corn, green beans, tomatoes, bell peppers. And my mom and them used to remember when they used to have pigs, chickens, and horse. But let me dial it back a little bit. to what peace meant when I would go to my grandparents and I'd look at the bottom of the hill and I'd see that lake. Every once in a while, go fishing. Go ahead and get that crappie, maybe a little bit of bluegill. And I wasn't the great at skinning fish, but I remember how Grandmom and them would make some fish and grits, steak and eggs. And I remember, even as a little kid, having to shuck corn, snap peas and green beans and all that type of stuff. And there's more that I can think of, but there's so many other things that give me peace. I remember going with my granddaddy on my daddy's side, my granddaddy Claude, and I remember the dogs, the two dogs, Lady and Rex. Lady was this German shepherd, and Rex was this boxer. And how they'd run up, and you know how dogs do. You all dog lovers out there, you know they foam at the mouth and do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But it was just so cool and peaceful. And I remember sitting on the stoop, and on the other end was the church where my grandmama played. In fact, the last time I went to that church, Freeman Chapel, they still have the same Bible where that church first got established in 1906. That's right. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about with 1906. And they still have the bell and the original furnace. And I remember looking at the rolls and seeing Daddy's name in there. Now, of course, they called him by his middle name, but that's not a government secret, that's a family secret. Unless you family and kinfolk, you know. But if you know, then keep it to yourself. If you don't know, too bad. But that gave me peace. Here's another one that gave me peace. Now that I'm thinking about it, all these random thoughts, ain't no need for no book or notes. I can just go ahead and spit it, if that's all right with y'all. Grown up, middle school and high school, and even when I go back during the winter, walking on the boardwalk at Asbury Park and walking in the sand. And yeah, sorry, Mom and Dad, but you know, your youngest son's a little bit out there, so he'll be walking out on the breakers, jumping across rocks and all that type of stuff. But looking and seeing the waves crashing in, on one hand, it's all that power. Some of y'all who grew up with me know about surfing and boogie boarding and all that type of stuff. I think people still do that now. So you know how strong those currents can be. But if you catch a wave in the early morning and seeing that sun.
Okay, that was just part of the audiobook selection, What Gives You Peace, and that's from the first audiobook, the Author's Mixtape Volume 1, Organic Musings from HTooOh. Again, what you were hearing of that particular segment, that was not written before going in the studio. In fact, when we did the actual live sessions, it was basically, here's the topic, and then I did a couple of simple bullet points, and then I just freestyled off of those bullet points. So the actual track is a little bit longer. I figured a couple minutes would give you a working idea. So hopefully some of the images, being at your grandparents, to taking in, as you heard, as we faded that out a little bit, taking in like the ocean and things along those lines. I know for me, it's when I see the waves crashing in and seeing the sunrise. For others, it might be different things. It was something that I think would speak to just about anybody. You know, sometimes we just have to pause and pump our brakes and try to put ourselves in as, you know, calm a space and place as possible. And especially during, you know, this current time, you know, finding those spaces, going out for that walk if possible. Some people still doing their fitness. For some people, that peace and calm might be experimenting with cooking, and what have you. There's still things that you can do. And again, from that first audiobook, that's one of the selections. It's 7 selections overall in the first audiobook. For the second audiobook, the Author's Mixtape Volume 2, that has 8 tracks, and it keeps building on different topics from health, politics, just life in general. So those are just a little bit of the snapshots of some of the works that are done. We're going to pause and kind of bring this all together. Okay, so here we are during this live signing, live talk, however you want to describe it. And what we wanted to do today was give a little bit of background of the first book, Deeper Than Your Deepest Sleep, Thoughts on Love with AuthorSnorton. That's for you or someone you know who is a poetry fan. The selection that we read, Your First Love, was definitely tying in with the relationship between a son and or their mother. So especially with Mother's Day being right around the corner, that can definitely be a fit for you or a reader you know. But not only that, any fans of poetry, especially the way that we did it with the preview at the beginning of each chapter. Hey, Emery Rose Photography. What we did with the beginning of each chapter, to give that preview so people know the setting and know the context, it makes it a whole lot easier to draw connections. So again, Deeper is for you or somebody you know who's a poetry fan. The second book, Nine Stories of Faith, Volume 1, definitely for you or a reader you know that can identify living with life's biggest daily challenges. So, with it being Mental Health Awareness Month, the chapter and the selections that we pulled were from someone who lives with a mental health issue. Again, it incorporates aspects of faith, but it's more than incorporating aspects of faith. Best practices with health and wellness, how someone incorporates their family network and support network, and how they've pivoted their way of thinking so they live with something versus it's something that they have. So, if you are someone you know is definitely a fan or in need of a book that is empowering, motivating, inspiring. It does have that conversation across the faith community, but taking it to the next step and realizing that, hey, all of us are dealing with something, but some people deal with something each and every day. And if they can live lives of relevance and importance, guess what? You can too. So that would definitely be a fit for you or someone you know. And then on the creative end, with the audiobook series, the Author's Mixtape, both volumes, again, organically done. Everything was done freestyle, impromptu. So it's basically doing a freestyle audiobook, but incorporating elements of poetry, spoken word, music, the whole nine yards. For those people who are fans of that type of creativity, that's a fit for you. So, how can you go the next step? Of course, most people are aware you can use Amazon to purchase both books. So let's pivot a little bit. Both Deeper and Nine Stories are available on Amazon. You can actually order those pretty much whenever. Go on Amazon, type in the title, you're good to go. Type in Deeper Than Your Deepest Sleep, Thoughts on Love with AuthorSnorton. You can type in Nine Stories of Faith, Volume 1, or you can just type in my name, Andrew Snorton, and the titles will pop up. For those of you that want to make sure you support our bookstores, which of course during the current times, you want to contact the bookstores directly to see how they handle things. But the following bookstores, I would encourage that you call, email, see how they would handle purchases, and definitely pick up your copy there. You may get your copy, and a lot of them are already pre-signed as well. So you may visit the following bookstores. You may visit Pan African Connections in Dallas, Texas, Lamora Bookstore in Jackson, Mississippi, Detroit Book City, which is located in Southfield. I could say Detroit, but Detroit Book City in Southfield/Detroit, Michigan. Read More Book and Card in Madisonville, Kentucky. The Tubman Museum Bookstore in Macon, Georgia. Nubian Bookstore in Morrow, 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 Georgia. Madu Bookstore in Atlanta, Georgia. Book Nook in Decatur, Georgia. Black Dot Cultural Center in Lithonia, Georgia. Fiction Addiction, located in Greenville, South Carolina. Hub City Bookstore, located in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Park Road Bookstore in Charlotte, North Carolina. Book Addictions, that will be online at Roanoke, Virginia, and then the Wake Forest University on-campus bookstore in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So again, you can purchase both books on Amazon, but if possible, contact the bookstores that I mentioned, see what their policies are, and definitely try to make your purchase from there. And as a side note, a portion of any of the books that are sold at Wake Forest University, a portion will be donated to different on-campus entities to help support students and things of that nature. With the audiobooks, both audiobooks, the Author's Mixtape Volume 1 and Volume 2, are available in almost almost 300 different platforms. So if you're a fan of Amazon, you can download and get your copy through Amazon, Tidal, Apple Music, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, Deezer. There's almost 300 different platforms. So that way you can go ahead, make your purchase, download it, save it to your smartphone, save it to your smart device. And if you'd like to get a personalized copy, I do have some copies in stock. So in order to contact me for your personalized copy, or a gift for someone, make sure to contact me on Facebook at AuthorASnorton. So that's AUTHOR, AuthorASnorton. You can inbox me there. For those of you who have not added me yet, you may add me on Twitter and Instagram at AuthorASnorton. So Twitter and Instagram, AuthorASnorton. You may also email me at AuthorASnorton@gmail.com. And on the web, I'm still experimenting with my author website. You can go to my business site of ASnortonCCS.com. Repeat, ASnortonCCS.com. Click on the menu Books, Yes, He's an Author, and you can go ahead and contact me there. So, again, doing this book signing a little bit differently. Doing it virtual obviously is a little bit different than being in store or being at a festival, and things along those lines. But I'm grateful for the opportunity to do so. So in closing, I thank each and every one of you for taking time to tune in. Second, I hope that you've gotten a little bit more background of the books that are done and how they can be a fit for you or a reader Third, with the audiobooks, and especially that I got that technology piece right, you have an idea of the audiobooks, how that can be a fit for you or any other listener, and especially with the first audiobook, since the topics were thrown at me by middle schoolers, it'll fit for a middle school student, a high school student, college student, and adults, definitely. We shared the different stores that you can connect with that are kind enough to have my books in stock. So please try to patronize those bookstores as best as possible. You already have the information on how to download the audiobooks to make your purchases there. Yes, you can use Amazon, and you can contact me directly. So I'm going to pause for a minute and see if there are any questions or comments that anyone has, any questions or comments. And I definitely hope when we did the audiobook that people were able to hear the audio section. But if not, I will make sure to pin this video on my Facebook page, Author Andrew Snorton, so that way you can go back through it and go ahead and go from there. Okay, I think we might be about it. So the goal was to make sure to keep it at about this type of length, which I believe we have. Again, in closing, number one, thank you to everybody who's lent support with their purchase, with their support, sharing the information, things along those lines. I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate each and every bookstore that's been kind enough to have, my books in stock. All the book festivals I've been able to do. I know this year festival season is looking a little bit different, but shouts to all the book festivals I've been able to do. The Mississippi Book Festival, East of the River Book Festival, the African American Family Book Festival. So those first three were respectively in Jackson, Mississippi, Washington, D.C., Detroit, Michigan. Book signings as far out as, at almost all the bookstores I've mentioned before, as far west as Dallas, Texas, as far north as Chicago, as far east as Asbury Park and Randolph, New Jersey. Again, thank you to each and every one of you. And again, in closing, let's make sure to do this again. You may stay in contact with me again, Facebook on the author page, Author Andrew Snorton, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at AuthorASnorton, and then email AuthorASnorton@gmail.com, and then make sure to go to the business page, ASnortonCCS.com. We will keep this pinned on the on my Author Andrew Snorton page, and on my Instagram, we'll go ahead and chop this up into smaller blocks so that way it'll be easier for folks to replay. So thanks a lot. I appreciate all of you for tuning in. Until next time, you take very good care, and I look forward to seeing y'all soon. Take care.